I woke up in darkness. Not the kind that gently presses against your eyelids before you open them, but a suffocating, absolute kind. It swallowed me whole, like the world had never existed. I was cold. The air was thick, damp, like I was deep underground. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to remember how I'd gotten here. But there was nothing. No flicker of memory, no sense of time or place, not even the faint impression of a dream, just blackness stretching endlessly behind my eyes. I reached for something, anything. But my mind was a void. I didn't even know who I was. Panic bubbled up from my chest. I jerked upright, hands groping at the ground beneath me. My fingers scraped cold stone, rough and grainy, like concrete or rock. I gasped, the air ragged in my lungs. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might break free of my ribs. "What's my name? What's my name?" The question pounded alongside the heartbeat in my skull, growing louder as I searched the empty corners of my brain. It was like a word on the tip of your tongue, just out of reach, teasing, but never revealing itself. I fumbled for something familiar, something to tether me to reality, but every detail that came up was blank. Slowly, my breathing steadied, though the panic never really left. It just settled deeper, like a weight in my stomach. I was sitting on cold stone, knees pulled to my chest. The darkness was still absolute, but I could make out faint shapes now, like my eyes were adjusting. A wall nearby, the faint echo of a ceiling far above. The air felt damp and smelled metallic, like wet iron or rust. A basement? I pushed myself to my feet. My legs wobbled as if they hadn't been used in days. I tried to listen for any sign of life, any sound at all, but the silence was maddening. It was thick, almost tangible. Just the soft scrape of my shoes as I took a cautious step forward. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face, but I reached out, fingers brushing against rough stone. "Hello?" My voice came out shaky, weak. No response. I wasn't expecting one, but it didn't stop the icy fear that wrapped itself around me. It wasn't just the emptiness. It was the sense that something was wrong. Terribly wrong. I moved again, slower this time, shuffling my feet along the stone floor to avoid tripping. I reached for the wall, following it blindly, hoping it would lead to a door or a window or some kind of escape. But with every step, the dread only grew. I shouldn't be here. That much was clear, even if I didn't know why. My hands were shaking, and I gripped the rough surface of the wall to steady myself. The silence was oppressive, pushing in on me like a presence, like the darkness itself was alive. Then I heard it. A faint sound, distant but unmistakable. Breathing. Not mine. I froze, every muscle tensing. It was rhythmic, slow, like someone, or something, was just standing there, watching, listening. I turned, scanning the blackness, but there was nothing, no shape, no movement, just that sound. The steady rise and fall of lungs that weren't mine. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. My heart was hammering in my chest again, louder than the breath that wasn't mine. I backed away, footsteps quickening, hands scraping along the wall for some kind of exit. Anything to break the suffocating isolation. The breathing got louder. I started running, or at least trying to. My legs were stiff, clumsy, and I stumbled over something. Something soft but unyielding. I hit the ground hard, scraping my palms on the stone, the metallic scent of blood mixing with the rust-tinged air. And then I felt it, what I'd tripped over. My hand landed on something slick, something warm. I recoiled, heart leaping into my throat, but curiosity, or desperation, forced me to reach back out. My fingers touched it again, softer this time, more deliberate. The surface was smooth, slightly yielding, but firm underneath. Skin. Human skin. I gasped, jerking back, but in the suffocating dark, there was nowhere to go. My brain screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. I just sat there, hyperventilating, hands trembling, the weight of what I'd just touched sinking in. Someone else was here. My breath caught as I realized it wasn't moving. The breathing sound, it wasn't coming from this body. It was something else. I scrambled to my feet, backing away as fast as I could, barely managing to stay upright. My feet hit a wall and I pressed against it, heart racing. The breathing was still there, louder now, closer. I squeezed my eyes shut as if it would help, but it didn't. I was drowning in the darkness, surrounded by something I couldn't see. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. A flicker of light, brief, faint, but unmistakable. I turned toward it, heart pounding. It was coming from a crack in the far wall, just a sliver of light, like the edge of a door not quite shut. I didn't think. I just ran for it, hands outstretched, fingers desperate to find purchase. The breathing grew louder, faster, as if whatever was in the dark was following, hunting. I reached the crack, slamming my hands against the wall. It was real. There was a door. My fingers found the edge, and I pulled, hard. The door scraped open just enough for me to squeeze through. Blinding light spilled into the space, and I threw myself into it, not caring what was on the other side, only needing to escape. I collapsed onto cold tile, the sudden brightness stinging my eyes. For a moment, I just lay there, panting, heart still racing, trying to convince myself I was safe. That whatever had been in the dark was gone. But when I opened my eyes, the light wasn't comforting. It was sterile, harsh. I blinked against the brightness, and as my vision cleared, I saw a long, empty hallway. White walls, white floors, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, no windows, no doors, just an endless stretch of nothing. And then I realized, with a jolt of terror, that I still had no idea where I was, or who I was. Then, the breathing started again.